Hi, my name is Panav Mhatre, and I'm the host of the Spot Robotics Podcast. Welcome. Today I'm joined with my guest, Ms. Vivian Bui, discussing software engineering. This was a super informational episode, and she brought some amazing views. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast where you can get insight into technology in the modern world and get a new perspective and advice on succeeding in these fields. If you enjoyed the podcast, follow us on wherever you get your podcast, and if you'd like to support us even more, give us a review. Thank you and enjoy. Okay, so for my first question, I want to ask, since I know you currently work at JP Morgan Chase for, I think, a year, right? Or more than a year? And I guess I want to ask, what do you do at JP Morgan Chase? And I guess what are some of your day-to-day responsibilities look like? And then also, what is one thing you like about JP Morgan Chase, that I guess other companies, I guess, anything you like about JP Morgan Chase?
For sure. I'm Vivian. I've been working for Chicken Morgan for more than a year as a software engineer one, which is the lowest level out of school. I'm currently part of the data platform engineering team based in Houston. What we actually do is that we deliver API requirements, maintain, or deliver new features for our internal clients across different LOB. That spans from, most of it is going to be legislations or accountings or finance. So we do deliver a lot of features for different data purposes. So a day in the life of me is that it's gonna be depends on the day, but most of the day we start early. We usually have meetings not until 9, but like depends on the team member, right? Like my seniors, because they have to communicate with people in India team or Chicago team, which their times like a little bit earlier than us. So usually they have meetings like around 6:37. But for me, my day start around like 7 to 7:30. I will start off my day with just checking if I still have anything left yesterday. Usually that like every day is different because like for I don't know if you heard about the context of sprint. It's like
Yeah.
every sprint you're gonna have different requirements and different story points depending on like what the client is looking for. So like there are sprint that I'm super busy that I might have to work very late, or like if there's any issues coming up, especially production issue or deployment issue, we have to like stay up late altogether until 9 or 10 p.m. Or sometime my manager, like she would just in her sleep and then like have some issues. You have to wake us up maybe like 1 or 2. It's very rare, but it's happened. So that is very hard to capture what you do specifically your
So,
day because every day is different, which is very fun.
mhm.
And which is what I like about JP Morgan. So, like JP Morgan, when you heard the name, you're like, oh, this is a very long term bank brand. So, like, when people heard about, like, oh, maybe you have to deal with a bunch of legacy system, which is actually absolutely not true. Working here on my tech stack is very up to date. I would say not. I would say like it's even more modern and usable and I don't know trendy compared to the industry. Then a lot of my friends who work in tech company, even like the big tech company, we always keep researching for new tech stack. We do like everything that everyone trying to like using right now, or we also like try to researching for like the smaller vendors or even like startups who provide like third party system that we think that very relevant to whatever we're doing. So we always continuously to improve and using very new and modern system. That's very fascinating, especially like as you're working in tech, you're like, oh, okay, I have something new to do today.
That's really cool. I mean, when I went to JP Morgan Chase last week, it was really, it was like a really big campus, and it's really like a bunch of cool stuff they work on there. So that's really cool. I guess before working at JP Morgan Chase, you did a bunch of other things. I guess one experience you had was a business analyst at Cisco. I guess was this during college or was this right after college? I think it was during college, right? Correct. Yeah.
This was
So I guess yeah, yeah, it was an internship. My bad. So what is one thing I guess what do you work I worked on over there? And I guess what is one thing that really I guess impacted you to like current to your current role at JP Morgan Chase?
For sure. So, it's an interesting question whenever I have to answer what do I do as a business analyst intern
Yeah,
because for some
yeah,
reason I feel like as a software engineer, even though like your work is changing every day, but at least I can define the scope of my
yeah.
work. Well, I can define like, oh, I do
Hmm.
API, I do full stack, I do lever front and back end, something like that. But as a business analyst, back in the day when I was an intern, like I do everything. It's like the
Yeah,
title that they give it to you when they don't know what to give it to you. Like as a business analyst, like maybe you're gonna be part of the assistant of your project manager to helping repairing the slide, helping like keep up on track, deliver the scope, the node, or contact with your clients. Like you just do all the routing work, even like some other work at higher level like analytics, like including like oh they give you a data set and ask you to get deliver insight over it. It's also you who do it. Like I was a data analyst, I was an operation analyst, I was a marketing analyst, I was an everything analyst. And it's get to the point like for that 2.5 month of the summer with Cisco, I was working with 6 different teams for 6 different projects at a time, and I also had 2 different volunteering with Cisco. It was a lot of hours I put in per week, I guess like around 80 hours or 85 hours per week. But it was very fun. I would say like a business analyst is something you cannot define easily.
hmm,
It's just like every day you of course you're gonna talk with a lot of people, different stakeholders, get a requirement for the project. Um, oh, I was part of the CDO office, sorry. It's a Chef Data Analytics office. So that's why it's a little bit influx in terms of my responsibility because like within the CDO they have this specific team that we're working on strategy executions where we just take in projects and we define the requirements and the budget and the timeline or everything that you think about like project definement project requirement defining and analysis like how the timeline everything should proceed for the next several months. And so it's just a lot of things that you
just
need to work on if you're in the strategy team.
yeah. So basically, you worked on a bunch of teams. I guess one question to I guess ask on that because I didn't know that. I thought I guess how did you have any struggles managing all the different teams? I guess like or I probably assume yes, but I guess how'd you manage that? Like manage working with so many different teams.
Correct. So that's a good question. Yeah, so my team though, strategy execution is mean that like I said, um, we define the scope, the budget, the timeline, we manage the projects within the LOB, or line of business. And within my team, we have 3 project managers, me, a business analyst, and my manager, who's the directors of executions, who mainly like the one who approve of the plan and everything, and talk with the higher level and the stakeholders. So we at the time when I was interning, we having more than 25 projects that we manage, and with such a large scope of projects, with like only 3 managers, and a business analyst, it's like it requires a lot of time, like very well defined time management skill and communication skill because every day like my manager who's like the
Hmm.
director, he works like I don't know maybe from 8 to 8, from 8 to 10.
Hmm.
Like it's a lot of hours, but also you have to very clear in terms of like who is who, which is which. Like for certain, and then you might want to group the projects together. Like for some, like for instance, there is certain project that is specifically about delivering something with Jira, or there is specifically project who's like targeting this group of budget or to tackle this specific issue because like usually like projects can be very huge and they divide it into smaller teams. So that's how we manage it. You just group them together and you communicate with them maybe in the same time, in the same meeting, or you have to have individual meeting throughout a day, but a lot of communication.
That's really cool to see. Like, so I never heard of. I usually like most people they work in like one team, so to be able to work with multiple teams that'd be really cool. I guess before Cisco, you worked at Cigna Health as well, and also like Honeywell Lake Ventures. I guess if you'd want to talk about, I guess what you did over there, but I guess the main question was like how did those two early internship experiences really impact you, like help you today? Like I guess was there any I guess lessons that you learned from there when starting off that really you wish you had learned like starting off over there that like help you today.
So I would say like those two experiences helped me to build my work ethics and my habits of learning, especially like self-learning. So, when I was working for a venture capital, it was the very first internship I ever had for myself. I never really had any like real life professional experience before that. So what happened is that when you come to the finance world and you like working with these super smart people who like, used to be in finance for years, maybe 20, 25 years, and eventually they have their own business that they go and invest in people. They are the top notch of the game. They know all the things that like even though they just see the small sign of it. Like for instance, they pull us into meetings and they talking with this startup and they like within 5 minutes they see the signs already. They're like, okay, they have issue and we might not take this risk. Or they just talk with someone who give the presentation for 7 minutes and they're like, okay, this is gonna be the future in next 10 years. And so you can see that these people, they've been in the industry very long. They have this vision. They're very talented. They're very fast. And so for us as intern, we have to keep it up. And like every day, I had to. Even before I started internship, they would give us like these materials where like these are the concepts that we recommend you should learn beforehand. And we learn everything in terms of all the business perspective. Like you learn about human resource. You have to learn how to read the DNA of the employees who sign a contract for that specific startups or for that specific invention. You have to know about doing due diligence. You have to know about finance. You have to read all the balance sheet. You have to know how the business is doing on the mere figures by looking at the numbers, by looking at these paperwork. You're like, okay, they might doing well or they might not. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of self-learning in a very short amount of time. And that just give me the foundations for my career throughout the next 3 or 4 years when I do my internship or full time because like you always have to continue to learn by yourself. And the more I learn, the better I feel about myself and also more confident about my job as well. So apart from learning or self-learning, of course, they teach me a lot about communication, how to connect with people, because over the year you realize that people are what actually matters. The job's gonna come and go, projects gonna come and go, but people stay. And so it's very important to make a connection and find friends along the journey. And that's what I learned throughout those two internships.
That's that's really cool. So I guess one thing that I also saw was that you were really, I guess, active at UT Austin, which is where you graduated from. Like you were a teaching assistant and a research assistant. I guess could you tell us a little bit more about those experiences? I guess like what made you, I guess, do that like for research, for example, and I guess how has research and teaching, like being a teaching assistant, impacted you today, if any way?
So, for me, I was more like academic person, as you can tell. So when I was in school, I tried to involve in everything that can help me, not only to make some tiny money with help with school, but also help me with all the learning new skill and communicate with new people. So one of the research that I find very interesting back in the day when I was still in school is this specific project uh, that my professor was asking if I can help him to deliver the code for it, which is the emergency room. He was like, "Oh, I'm working on this big project that we need to eventually drill down on which aspect that we can help with optimizing the operations of the emergency room." And the part of that project is that you have to trying to analyze and understand what algorithms or what's well whenever I talk about algorithm, it sounds very like high level. It's just basically like the operations, the mathematical operations that can help you optimize the Jira structure and how they organize the emergency room. And so I was like, cool. It might sound too high level that I don't even need to have to do it. And he's like, it's okay. You just like tell me like, whatever you find, help me collecting data, etc., etc. And so 2 weeks in, after he gave me the requirements, I was sitting by myself during Christmas because my mom, my sister, they was hanging out with everyone in the family to the mall. And I'm like, you know what? When I was sitting by myself, all of a sudden I thinking about this way of working for this algorithm is like you have this line of people and you just cut it off one by one, either by LIFO or FIFO or
Uh-huh.
by the specific selections of a group. So like when you group people together, you can take them out. The same way when my mom and I, a group decide to go to the mall and I decide to stay in the room. And so all of a sudden, I just tried that out, the whole code, in one same night, and I sent to my professor, and he's like, "Oh my God, do you know how many variation that we can take from this specific logic? Try to think some more, and then give it back to me. This is amazing work." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So within 2 weeks, we already done with all the algorithm. And then it's just like about coding it out, making it look pretty on paper, writing the whole project. So it was a very fun project that I had back in school. But apart from like research, I do involve in like all the perspective, like helping with tutoring in school. And also I attend like multiple clubs back in the day, especially the clubs. So like they have very well structured, well known professional connections with like the recruiters. And UT is very strong of that, like the MIS club, the finance club, like those guys who organize those clubs, though they always have to talk with like specific recruiters from the company in Austin. So like it's really help you to develop your networking with the professional personnel that eventually help you to get the job.
I know UT has some really strong, I say like I guess job prospects as well, like more connections with the recruiters. I'd say I guess what did you do? I guess you could talk a little bit more. I guess what did you do in in college to basically I guess help you get these internships? Did you go to like the job fairs? Because I know some had like, said job fairs. Or I guess how did you I guess land some of these internships that you worked at? Yes.
Sounds like a very interesting question. So, to give a little bit of background on so when I first go to UT, I'm actually a transfer student. I was going to community college because I just came to the US, so you cannot just get
Yeah.
straight to university. Um, and so by the time I got to UT, it was in my third year. So it's very hard for me at the time to find an internship. That is why, like, for the very first semester when I got there, I tried every possible way to like just cold email everyone, say like, "Hey, I'm Vivian. I hope that I can get a position with you. Is there anything that I can help with?" And then eventually, like the venture capital Honeywell, like they reach out like, "Hey." The fact that like you co-emailing us show that you are the person who really hardworking. So let's talk and see what we can help with. But after the first internship, it just opened so many doors for me, and especially the fact that I have the name of UT on it, it just really helped. And UT is just not about a name, it's about the skill and the experience they give to you. So the very first semester I was there, they have like this class that show you how to like create your LinkedIn portfolio, how to connect and talk with a recruiter, how to like create meaningful connection with the people who in the industry so that they can become your mentor, they can give you guidance, they can refer you to the job. And so after that class, I bring the skills that I learned to real life. I started to build my portfolio. And being in UT, they have a very strong network of recruiters and professional individual who's are the alumni of the school. They're very willing to guide you through the process. So there's so many workshops that like organized by the Macomb School and by different clubs in UT. So if you go there, you're gonna meet a lot of people, and then they talk about the job for you. They're like, "Hey, you interested in this? I can refer you to internship," and that's helped me so much. Because the next summer I got three internship offer. One from Cigna, one from a small bank in Houston, and another one from one local oil and gas company in Houston as well. And so I go with Cigna. And then the next summer, I got four internship offer. One is Goldman Sachs, one is JP Morgan, one is Cisco, and another one is a return offer with Cigna. And so with all those options that is already laid out for me, being a UT student and learn the skill and the connections that I have in school, is eventually give me another six offer when I graduate from school and have a full-time job. So it's like give you the variation and the selections of where you want to be and how you want to be as a person in career. Well, I cannot say enough about the school. Just amazing for me.
That's really cool. I guess for someone working in the software space, right? Just starting out, I guess like I guess less than 5 years of like after college, pretty much. I'd say, what do you see as something as changing like right now? I guess I know like a bunch of AI stuff. But I'm not sure at JP Morgan Chase if it's that used because when I asked, they said it's not really that heavily used because of some of the concerns of privacy and stuff like that with consumer data. I guess what is something that you are seeing right now or like you see in the future that's probably gonna be changing like in that space.
So I am a tech enthusiast. For me, though, any new innovation has its own pros and cons, but usually we want to see what we can specifically use for it as to that bring benefits to people and to organization, right? And so I do see a lot of people, especially more senior one, they kind of skeptical about the power of AI. But for me and for my friend, we see it as a very handy tool to get, especially to get rid of like the small task, and this help you become more efficient in your work, your regular work. So for example, like oh, I'm sorry. I should have just mentioned
Mm,
the security issue
yeah.
first. So to answer that, a lot of organizations they already have their own LM model within
Mhm.
within different teams and LOB to specifically targeting a use case that they need for business. So security is in my mind not an issue anymore because everyone
Mhm.
have their own
Yeah.
AI now. So
Yeah.
you can use it within your organization.
Mhm.
Of course, there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
limitation because like AI is very costly.
Mhm.
Every single query you make is going to cost them money, thousand, millions,
Yeah.
billions of money. So what happened is that if you ever try to use any the internal LM model, it's just not within JP Morgan, with any organizations
Mhm.
that I heard from my friend who working with,
Mhm.
they limit the response that the AI gonna give to you, which
Mhm.
sometimes they don't even get to the main point yet, but it's already stopped.
Yeah.
Like you're asking a question and then they give you like you have a limit of like 200 words
Mhm.
in the response, and then like they don't even answer
Mhm.
you yet to what you was asking for. It already stopped. So there's certain limitation when you have to bring something that is very well developed in the open source to the internal. But what I do see as a benefit, I would say a lot. The first up is that like there's gonna be some small tasks that usually take time, and you don't really want to spend your time
Mm-hmm.
on those because it doesn't really deliver your business result, but you have to get rid of the way. And so AI is very handy in that sense. It's like, hey, can you help me to like just classify this based on these criteria that I give you instead of like do it by yourself, and it just give you like what in 30 seconds, right? So it's very sufficient. I'm sorry, very efficient. Boost your productivities. And so now instead of having three or four software engineers who like doing all different tasks, one is writing tests, one is like right just like spending times on tackling the production issue, or like one just like working on building or one or two building new features and struggling when they was doing the code. Now you have AI to help you have like all four software engineering maybe in one or two person. It's just so efficient in that way because now everyone can just get rid of the small tasks and they're focusing on delivering the business result. And I think that like if you remember when it first come out, yes, there was a lot of issue and error in the response of the AI, and it's still there, of course. But as the user, we have to know how to extract the gem from the milestone, and the moment that you know how to refine it and know how to categorize which information you can extract from, it's just very valuable for us and deliver many insights that we don't even think about it before.
Yeah, it's getting way more powerful, I guess, now as well with like there's like new models from different companies, not just ChatGPT releasing. So those are new potentials. I guess now for the one thing that I know basically how we met was through All Star Code. I guess could you talk about I guess some of the volunteering work you have done? Because I know you've done a lot of volunteering work and you did volunteering work at All Star Code as well. If you want to say anything about that.
So, the obstacle volunteer is one of the volunteer that you do with JP Morgan. Um, it's a very good experience because I volunteer as the site lead for the location in Houston, which means that I have to recruit the speakers for all the sessions that the students have, or I also have to structuring, organizing the schedule, the timeline specifically for the in-person day, which is the most busy day for us. So it's involved a lot of communication, planning, and also like analytical thinking because you have to think how to allocate the speakers and the volunteer in specific time role or like specific topic. So it's really helped me in, expand myself to different perspectives, especially the business side of it, and just instead of just like always focusing on my technical job day by day, which is very good. And Osaka is just not the only volunteering experience that I have. I also did Microsoft volunteers with, I forgot the name.
I think I think it says right here Teals, Microsoft Teals.
Yeah, Microsoft Tales.
Yeah.
So it's like the volunteer you do with your local school. You sign up with Microsoft, and then like, they assign you with like whatever school district are you with. So I did that for a year. I go to the class every week and then have the kids with whatever books that they have in the class or answering the question or have them to like, hey, maybe this code you can do it better. So it was very fun, like it's like I don't know how to even describe it because like the student, I love them. Like by the end of the volunteer, I get so many good and cute cards that they gave to me, and so I'm like, oh my god, this is something I never think about. So it's a very good experience. Go there, you teach, you help a system when they do the coding class, Python class. Don't really, it's nothing much, but the love that shower you after that, it's just like something that mesmerized me. I really recommend it. I also do a lot of volunteers back in the day in school and also during my internship. I think that for whatever place that you with, like either you in school, you in an internship, you're in a full time, it's very important to remember that you need to do some volunteering because
Hmm.
volunteering is something that like make you step out of your day-to-day job. Is give you the new perspective, help you meet new people, hone your leadership skill and communication skill.
Hmm. That's really really good. For my final question, since these are all the questions I asked, so I asked this to every single person. So I guess for you, so I guess when you look back at your journey to like wherever you are right now in your current stage of your career, I guess what is something you wish you had changed since I know you just came out of college. So I guess something you wish you had done better or changed in like college or like before that like it's like basically something you change, I guess, because I know some people want to maybe look back on something they could have done a little bit better or anything like that.
Um, so I do wish that, let me think. You might have to edit in this part. Let's
No
see, let's
problem, it's fine. I mean, like some people just don't have any regrets in general. Like we have a bunch of
I
people
have a
say
lot of
like,
regrets. It's just like when you ask it in the early
yeah,
morning of weekends, you're
yeah, in
like,
the
oh,
early,
my brain is like still like operating right now. Let me see. Mm, oh, I remember now. So I can start it. One of the things that I wish that could be different is that I remember when I was very early in my career, especially when I first had my internship experience. I was so focusing on my job because I was scared.
mm,
I thought that like if I don't do it well, I might lose it. I might have a bad impressions on people, or people. Sorry, people might have a bad impressions on me. Not that I have a bad impression on people. Sorry, you can edit that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you get what I mean. Like
yeah.
there's just so many things that like come to your mind that you live in your own cage and you cannot step out from your old box.
Mm,
And because of that, like I was blind by my own scares and I cannot see the people around me. I couldn't understand that like everyone also have their own vulnerabilities, and when you work together as a team, you not only just need to excel yourself as a professional individual, but you also need to understand and listen to them and be more empathetic. I wasn't like that. I was just a person who showed up to work and work and work and work. I doesn't really know how to build like a good connection with people. I doesn't really like, I mean, I do communicate and you kind of like have that surface level of connections, but you never really like try to go in depth and like try to explore and discover how they are as a person. And so maybe at some point, I just all of a sudden realized that I realized how much that I missed throughout my journey. If I could doing like that, then yeah, sure, you can get some outstanding performance review. But what's the point for it if you cannot even make good connection with people? Because like your job's gonna come and go. Like I said, like your projects keep changing, but people still there and working with you. So what's the point, right? And also like is I realize that it's gonna be something that not just me myself, but along the way you're gonna see many people have the same mistake.
mhm,
Because like when you two focusing on the work and you were so stressed out, you easily like toss away the people around you. You be rude to them. You less empathetic. It's just not a very good thing to do. So
mhm,
just remember
yeah.
the business and the people go hand in hand. Whatever you do, remember the people around you and bring them along your journey.